Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer. Here. Trustee Carter.
Here.
Trustee Grant.
Here.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd. Here. Trustee Zupan. Here.
I'll entertain a motion to go into the executive session for the review of the executive board minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Carter. Any questions?
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan. Yes.
Motion carried. I'll entertain a motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Tate.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan. Yes.
Motion carried. Approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the journal proceedings of the committee of the whole for February 5th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Brewer. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Trustee Brewer. Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd. Yes. Trustee Zupan. Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting and the public hearing held on February the 12th, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Carter. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan. Yes. Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the regular board meeting of February the 12th, 2019.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would make a motion that we approve these with two changes. The first change is under unfinished business. The trustee who moved and second should be switched so that it's trustee Carter making the motion, trustee Zupan seconding. And then the second change is the adjournment time should be 9:33, not 8:15 p.m.
Any other? Right. All right, I'll entertain a motion to it. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
That motion with those two changes.
Changes. Take a second to, I'll entertain a second for those necessary changes.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Grant.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Tate. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Zupan.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Carter.
Yes.
Motion carried. Public comment? Our questions and comments will be directed to the mayor. Each speaker may comment on any matter pertaining to the business of the building. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for 3 minutes and may not engage in debate, counter replies, or rebuttals. I will answer all questions at the end of the question period from the audience. Please state your name when you come up.
Judy Gast here. My first question, I would like to know if interim finance director Finch is bonded. I don't want to know if he's insured, I want to know if he's bonded. And if so, I would like some paperwork to support that. And if not, if I can't get that, then I do have a FOIA here to turn in to ask for it. The next thing I want to bring up is FOIAs. On March 8th, I submitted 3 FOIAs. Mark that date down, March 8th. And on March 15th, I received a letter saying that they needed a 5-day extension. I asked for copies of minutes for Ordinance Review Committee by trustee Linda Todd, and who was on her committee on that kind of thing. I saw Mrs. Todd, trustee Todd, and I told her that I submitted a FOIA. And she said, I know, I've already turned in the paperwork for it. That was before the first 5 days was up. So there's no reason why I didn't get it within the first 5 days. But I let it go. And on the 15th of March, I got the letter asking for another 5 days. This morning, I made a phone call to Attorney General Steve Silverman. We're on a first name basis by now. And I let him know that as of today, I still don't have my FOIA's answered. And if a trustee turned in paperwork answering that FOIA, I want to know if she's the FOIA clerk or whatever she calls herself, officer, is told to hold on to these FOIAs, or is she totally incompetent? And I will keep contacting Mr. Silverman until I get where I want to get. The next thing is, for 4 years prior to you becoming mayor of Sauk Village, you were a trustee. And for 4 years, we watched you and we stood by you when you fought David Hanks on the fact of asking for the trustees to pass a motion for stuff that was already done.
Time.
Can I finish?
Time is up.
Okay, I'll get you next week.
Thank you.
Linda Washington. First of all, I just want to say, I would like to know why we don't have any account payable available in the back for the residents to be able to look at the bills that's been paid. I just know that it cannot be that serious that we don't have enough money in Sauk Village to run off copies of the accounts payable. The residents are already in an uproar about so much that's going on in Sauk Village that's wrong. And these are their tax dollars that they're paying. These are stakeholders in the village. Why can't they have a copy of the accounts payable? We were told that if you want to know how much money is being spent and the bills that's being paid, you have to go on the internet. You have senior citizens don't even have a computer. You have some people don't even know how to use the internet. There is no reason why there should not be a paper hard copy of the accounts payable in the back for the residents. It's just another way you all keep showing us that you don't care nothing about what we feel.
My name is Eric Young. I've been a resident here since 1987. I just want to know, and I know it's none of your fault at all, but when are we going to get some drinkable water? Everybody around us has it. Why can't we? Another thing I wanted to bring up was I see more and more young kids just walking down the street. Do we have any community programs where we can start or we can implement for these kids to have something to do? And you might say, well, it's kind of expensive to get the lake water or refined water, but it's just as expensive to get new washing machines, new refrigerators, new fixtures. So in the end, what do we say? I know it's not none of your fault that it happened before you got in office and everything, but I want to know if we can get something started. Jesse Jackson came here before he went to jail, and he was supposed to do something about it. We've been promised and promised and promised and promised. We're still spending more and more money every year for the no account water unit. So I just want to see something get started so it can be implemented. Thank you.
Debbie Williams. First of all, I want to start with the fact that it really is a problem that we cannot get through the City Hall, Village Hall, our hall. It is really a problem. On Monday, I found out that one of my signs, my political signs, a resident got a warning ticket to remove it. So of course I wanted to call the Village Hall to find out exactly what I need to do to comply. So I called code enforcement, Joe Wizawati says, and the mailbox is full. Really? I mean, yeah, you work 3 hours a day, and Sharon used to work 9, and the mailbox is full. And, okay, so what's your next course of action? Well, let me speak to the mayor. So I called back, and I'm told that I have to speak to Mary Klopp, who's his assistant. I leave a message for Mary Klopp. I still haven't gotten a phone call back. Now it's like almost 9 o'clock on Tuesday. I still haven't gotten a phone call back. So obviously, if Joe Wizawati's phone mailbox is full, and Mary Klopp doesn't answer her answering sheet, and the mayor never gets the message apparently. Sometimes Tuesday, maybe after 7 o'clock, I'll know where I can put my sign. But right now, why am I not in compliance? Please tell me. Because I will make sure that I'm in compliance and put that sign right back. That's number one. Number two, there is a lot of talk that independent candidates do not want to work with this administration. Let me just tell you on the record, that's a lie. Because I intend to work with anybody who is up at that seat. I have always worked with everybody who's been up on that seat. Because I've been a resident for 32 years, and if there's one thing I care about, it's what the people on that seat do for the residents. And I'm a resident, and I don't feel like I'm being serviced. Another thing, when are we going to get over the fact that Debbie Williams did not spend $17,000, cost the residents $17,000 because of my trip to Washington, Mr. Wizawati? Who cost the village $17,000? Who kept that FOIA in court over and over and over again, knowing full well that the residents were going to have to foot that bill because the attorneys were going to answer your questions, and you tweaked that FOIA over and over and over again. You changed it, and every time you changed it, the attorneys had to go back and address it to the tune of $17,000. And it wasn't my fault, because as an elected official, once that FOIA reached Sauk Village, it was out of my hands. I was no longer able to respond to that FOIA, because anything I could have said or done at that time could have put Sauk Village in liability. That's why the attorneys handled it. You got a problem with the $17,000? Speak to Old City Attorney.
Bernadine Hopkins. this is kind of going to be repetitive, but I want to know where are copies of accounts payable? And is it true that the residents will no longer be allowed to view accounts payable prior to meetings? Excuse me. Number 3, how can a decision like that be implemented without even bothering to consult or just talk with the residents about it? Let me see, number 4. Were the trustees aware that this no availability of the accounts payable was going to be implemented? And also, I'd like to know, were the trustees in disagreement with it? Are you able to say which ones were and or why? And finally, I wanted to know, are you attempting to silence the residents and or discourage us from participating or coming to these meetings? Because I kind of think if you do that, wouldn't that end the necessity for the meeting? Therefore, wouldn't that cut into your pocket change a little bit? So those are my questions.
Rachel Eastman. Hi. So I did get a chance to talk with Rodana Brown. So we did work something out, but we wanted to get everything exact for you. So I do not have everything written up at the moment. We kind of wanted to get it to you next Tuesday, because we don't want to start till after the election and everything, and just have everything in place instead of having promotion. And we don't have enough time to start next week because we wouldn't have time to promote it. So, but we do have dates, and we were going to do like every other Wednesday and night. The Mommy and Me program, or Guardian and Me program, sorry. So we do have the logistics going on, and we will have an itemized list of everything we're going to do on those days for you. And I will give those to you monthly if that's what you need. But we will give them to you guys by Friday of this week. I will have it to the front counter, and then you guys can know what we're doing, okay? Thank you.
Renee Richardson, I guess maybe, Mayor, I'm not asking you this question. I guess I have to ask Jim. Is it possible to get a copy of all the empty houses that's still available in the city of Sauk Village? Is it possible to get a copy of all the empty houses that are available?
Don't even look up when you talk to them. It's so rude.
Mary Escobar. So I want to talk about, and somebody was mentioning how they can't get through to City Hall. When I was the treasurer and I was in the back, I was in the office and Mary Clark was taking, or somebody had called and wanted to speak to you, and your secretary answered the phone. And so when she asked, the person wanted you to call them, and she's like, yeah, okay. She was getting ready to hang up, and the people asked, don't you need my information? And she said, oh yeah. So she just stood there. She didn't write anything down. When she hung up, I looked at her, and I said, what are you doing? And she said, what? He doesn't want to talk to them. So where is the transparency? And either she's not competent enough to take the information down to give it to you, or you really don't want to talk to the people. And then how I keep saying people in glass houses should throw stones. So people who file bankruptcy 2 and 3 times shouldn't be talking about people whose houses are in foreclosure or don't pay their taxes or whatever. They need to learn to keep their mouth shut when they know they're doing the exact same thing. That's all I have to say for tonight. I'm back.
Good evening. resident of Sauk Village for the past 6 years. Moved from DuPage County to Cook County. And it's very disturbing to drive down my block and see the trees and branches all in the street. My car, I have to replace tires because of those tree branches that belong to the city. When you look at the trees, it looks like the Asian beetles many, many years ago have attacked these trees. I drive around different suburbs and surrounding areas and see that the cities are taking care of the trees that have died, cutting them down, and I see nothing happening in Sauk Village. My question is, when will we see landscaping taken care of down our blocks? Thank you.
Election time. It happens every year, every 2 years. In regard, no, I was just making a statement. In regards to being bonded, the treasurer is bonded. Way down. What about now? Okay, the treasurer is bonded, has been bonded since he was made treasurer. So by him moving into another capacity, helping the village out at the time that we need him, I don't understand that part of the question. You know, just once you're bonded and still working for the village, you're still bonded. As far as needing a FOIA, the person said they never got a FOIA, it was 3 FOIAs, and they never got their FOIAs. I will look into that, but you should be by the 8th. If you were asked for it, I'm sorry, if there was an extension given, it could have been a lot of reasons why extensions were given. I don't know all of them, but I know that there are extensions given at different times for different reasons. To say that to date no FOIAs were answered, I find it hard to believe that no FOIAs were answered. As far as accounts payable will be released after the trustees vote on it. That's the trustees' job, is to vote on accounts payable. Once they've been voted on, yes, they'll be released to find out what they are. When you see them before they're voted on, those bills have not been paid. Bills are not paid until after they're voted on by the board. So the accounts payable that you see is a draft. So if there's something that is taken out or whatever, why should we disseminate that if it hasn't been voted on? After, just like the minutes, after it was voted on, you would get copies of the accounts payable being made. I'm not going to continue. I'll let you finish. I'll let whoever it is talk. The accounts payable will be disseminated after it's been voted on to the residents, and have copies will be available in the village, and those that want them online. If you have your, we will put those also online. If you need copies, the copies will be available the day after they were voted on. As far as Lake Michigan water is a referendum. It's a binding referendum. When I became mayor, I put a trustee in charge of that, but I will tell you this. It's got to happen. It's going to happen. The water rates will go up, because we have to take care of the infrastructure that the Lake Michigan water will be part of, and take care of that. We have to have a certain amount of non-leakage, which means we have to be less than 10% of our pipes leaking. That's where infrastructure comes in, and there's a lot of other items that are involved in that. So when will that come? I really couldn't give you an answer if I told you I knew when. I'd be lying, but it's in a binding referendum. And it has to happen at some point. But as I stated before, when that does, and it does happen after we get everything, the water rates will go up to pay for the infrastructure repairs. And the land has to draw between point A and point B. As far as the programs for children, I have a application process that's been out there for quite a while for someone to come and be a part-time program director for the community center. It's been out there for a while. I haven't gotten but one, and this person really didn't want to really do it, so I still have the application process still out there for someone to be a program director for the community. Sorry to hear that you couldn't get into Village Hall, and to say that a person is not capable, and we're going to call names. I'm not going to engage in name calling.
What names did you hear called?
Again, I'm not going to answer. I'm going to let you know. I mean, if you want to keep everybody here all night, we'll do that. But if I did not, and I will not engage in back and forth. When you were talking, I respected that. And if you continue to keep doing, I'll ask that you leave out and let everybody else enjoy the meeting. As far as the person that's talked about the mom and me, I need that person to see me. Come up with the business is more than just that to bring a program like that in there, especially when it deals with kids and parents and volunteers. So it's more than just talking. We have to make sure that we have safeguards in effect. That's just what it is when you deal with the government. That way, we have things in place to make sure that everyone that's involved in that is on the up and up. A copy of the empty houses in the village. I'm sure that shouldn't be a problem. I don't know why there was a problem with that, but there should not be a problem with the empty houses list. We do have a copy of the empty houses list, and I don't know if when you say empty houses that are available, I'm not sure about that because it could be empty and not available. I don't know if there's such a list, but there's a list of empty houses. As far as the trees and branches in the street, yes, the ash trees went through a process. I think it's like the third year now where Emerald Ash Board kills all emerald ash trees in the village. And right now we have 200 or 300 of them. And every year we try to work with and get those trees taken down. We had some help last year by Cook County to do some of them on Sauk Trail. But the manpower dictates that we can only do so many so often because some of those trees are pretty tall. As far as the branches being in the street, we see those. We hopefully picking those up on a daily basis. I'm glad you brought that to my attention. I do drive around a lot to look. The person that's involved in doing that is here, so I'm sure they wrote that down to look into that. And I didn't get what street you were on, but I'm sure if you're going to be after the meeting, you can let me know what street that is that you're on. And we can take a look at that too to make sure that those trees are not impeding anything going down, because we did have some windstorms and it broke a lot of branches in the streets, and in the process now of trying to pick those up. But if they missed that street and it's still out there, I need to know that. I appreciate you bringing that to us and letting us know about that, because a lot of times things will be in there. That being said, we'll go to the reports. The mayor's report. First item, we have a bid opening for the elevated rising tank. We had one bid to be brought in, this is the second bid that this is the only bid that we got, I think. It came the second time, it was a bid the first time. So I'll open this bid. Okay, this bid is from Great American Insurance Company. And this is, amount, 10% of the total bid, okay. The bid is for $8,408. They have insurance rider. Cover letter was included. Now, if I stand corrected, the contractor's name is McGuire Iron Incorporated in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And the amount again is for $8,408. They do have an insurance rider. There's a statement of understanding and development included. There's a description included. References are included, developer team experience. That's included. Councilman representative. Thank you. The proposal is included. Certified check, bank transfer.
Yes, I do. No, they're not. We don't see. We don't see which two it is first. Because it's not working.
All right, then the amount of the actual bid is $84,080. Turn this over to our
David, do you got a bull on the children? Oh, can I borrow it? You know what? I need that for Tuesday morning.
there's a bond split. We have a bond.
Okay, I'm gonna go see if they got that. Because Tuesday morning, I'm telling people, please go. Please. I don't care. Just. Yeah. I ain't even gonna ride down the street. And I get it out. Please go. If you ain't voted for nothing, just go. We need y'all to get out.
All right, we'll give this to
Start on Sunday.
Okay, the next item have a resolution. Everybody probably wondering why the police is here. It's not for people being on the roof.
Who's only one?
So you won't have to feel that way.
Two of them. Oh, the West.
I didn't catch the second.
It's a resolution. And the person that we're talking about, the police come up, and that's Mr. Detective Sergeant Robert Crowe. Yes, sir. First of all, thank you for showing me this. Excuse me, before I read this, I just want to make something. I just want to say I've known Mr. Crowe since he's been here. I never got in contact. I was never in contact with him on the other side. But I just want to tell everybody that this person is one of the most dedicated people that we have in our police department, police force. If you ever dealt with him, he's very methodical in how he does his work. I've watched him. A lot of people may not be happy about it, but he does his job. He doesn't mince words. He'll tell you right off the bat what he feels. And he does his job. He does a great job in the village. He's very thorough. So I'm hoping that we can fill his shoes. But I do know that when you give him a case or give him something to do, he takes care of it until it's done. He's like a bloodhound when it comes to trying to solve cases. That being said, in honor of the retired detective, Sergeant Robert Grossman, whereas Detective Sergeant Robert Grossman was appointed to the position of the police officer with the Sauk Village Police Department on March 27, 1998. He was appointed to the position of detective for Sauk Village in 2003, and then appointed to the position of detective sergeant April 25, 2017. Whereas Detective Sergeant Robert Grossman, during his tenure with the Sauk Village Police Department, served as a patrol officer, field training officer, juvenile officer, evidence technician. While serving as a detective for the Sauk Village, he was certified as a lead homicide investigator, a role which he used to solve numerous violent crimes and homicides in Sauk Village and throughout the South Suburbs. Whereas Detective Sergeant Robert Grossman has attained numerous professional milestones, Detective Sergeant Grossman became an active member of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, working tirelessly to remove child predators from our neighborhood. In October 2007, while serving as lead homicide investigator as a member of the South Suburban Major Crime Task Force, he was awarded the Mentor's Award by Cook County Sheriff Thomas Dart. Therefore, be it resolved by Mayor Derek Burgess and the Village Board of Sauk Village that we do extend our sincere and heartfelt gratitude to Detective Sergeant Robert Grossman for his years of service to our residents and the staff at the Village of Sauk Village. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be given to Detective Sergeant Grossman and will be placed in our file this date, March 26, 2019. Faithfully submitted, Derek Burgess. We're going to be sorely missed. I'm glad to see our officers came out and support. But a person like this, you can't find. You can't go out and recruit for something like this. It has to be in you to do something like this. So they didn't do that, and I really appreciate that. Again, thank you so very much. Officer, did you want to come take a picture with your He's retired guy.
Yeah.
Thank you to Officer Finance Officer. Thank you. There will be some, there is some cake in the senior center, so I guess that's what they're headed to, but hopefully there'll be some leftover after the meeting, and it's a big cake. So feel free after the meeting, go by, give you congratulations to Sergeant Grossman, and then I'll have some cake. Report, village clerk report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to be before you very long. However, I do want everyone that's here, all of our department heads, all of our trustees, to remember April 23rd is coming up. And what does April 23rd mean for all of us? It's a board meeting, yes, but it's Student Government Day more so. So on that day, each and every one of you will have a student that will be shadowing you, who will actually read your report. You will prepare the report and email it to me, for certain, by the Wednesday prior to that meeting. I believe that's the 16th or the 17th. Trustees, unlike last time, we're going to make it real nice, quick, and easy. When it's time for a vote, you will respond to the vote. Not the young people. You will not have to tell them what to say, because that was a little awkward and we sort of lost some stuff there. So you will respond to the vote. They will be giving your report. And their report, trustees hear me, the report that they give will not be, I have no report. Okay? Because if you don't give me a report, I'm going to make one up for you. Okay? Our youngsters will be given a report. I would rather it be a valid report, but I promise you it will be something that's relating to your responsibility. Okay? Then on that Friday, no, not that Friday, but that Thursday, we will be having a luncheon here for those youngsters that took part in the Student Governance Day here, as well as the one that we had a week or so ago over at the school district. At that point in time, we will give them little certificates. We will provide them lunch. You are more than welcome, as always, to come and be in attendance with us. There's something else that I need to be telling you about that day. Oh, I know it's very important. On that day, years ago, we used to give the youngsters a tour of the municipality. We didn't do that last year. Well, they wanted it. So, we will be touring the water tower. We will be touring the police department. And we will be touring this facility. Joe, I think you did a fantastic job of being a tour guide last year, so I'm going to ask you to be the tour guide again this year for the Municipal Center. And I'm certain you will just really appreciate having an opportunity to show them around. I don't know who would do the water tower. Oh, they do the fire department, fire station as well. So I just need all of you guys to just get engaged. I'll give you the timelines. We're only looking at like 15 minutes at each one of your places because we know that we need you to get back to work as soon as possible. Okay? Are there any questions where that's concerned? You're also invited, if you would really love to come and be a chaperone on the next day, the 26th, for the 7th and 8th grade dinner dance. And when we say dinner dance, we're talking a formal dinner dance. So you're more than welcome. If you have a youngster that is, in that age group, we look forward to seeing them all doozied up and everything and looking good. Mr. Mayor, that completes my report.
Thank you. Treasurer's report, Mr. Anthony Finch.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Board, Madam Clerk, before I go into my report, I want to take a moment to go outside of Robert's Rules of Order and allow myself a point of courtesy. Since I've been in this interim director position, I feel like not necessarily myself, but this position has been come under attack. I heard a few questions tonight that I'm going to address as the interim financial director, as well as a professional. You guys that know me, don't know me. I came on as a treasurer back in October, which I raised my hand to uphold my duties as a financial individual. That was the second time that I ever upheld my hand. First time I was in the Army. And in the military, you uphold the oath to protect foreign and domestic individuals or countries. The same thing applies with my concern when it comes to finances. I'm not beholden to none of the trustees or the mayor, but when it's implied that I might be doing something underhanded, I do take offense to that. Because one thing that I do stand by is my integrity. When you question, since I've been here in the last month, I've had about 6 to 7 people, including attorneys, question about my bond. I find that's kind of ironic because I want to ask, because I'm the type of person, when you ask me something and you point at me, remember there's 3 fingers pointing back. So when you ask me about bonding and all that stuff, it's amazing because back in November, I brought a couple issues to the pension board that still to this day have not been addressed by their attorneys. It's interesting to me that, from what I can tell, prior financial directors that have been here way more than I have not been asked those same questions. I have no problem answering any questions. As far as transparency, I'm all about transparency. This is my 4th village that I worked in. I'm not here because I need the money to take care of my family, pay my son college. So please don't think anything like that. I'm here because I've done a great job in other municipalities. To the point that even people in this village that I work in here has gone to my current employer and asked them about what I do and what I've done for that particular village. I didn't run away from it, didn't care about it, because I know what I've done. I'm all about results. That's what the military taught me, and that's what I still do to this day. As I've asked when I first set up here, you have to give me opportunity. This is not simple math, 1 + 1 = 2. This is not even algebra. This is geometry. And it's very complicated, and it's going to take some time. Now you guys have valid questions. I always have questions. Since I've been here, I've brought certain things to the mayor's attention concerning certain invoices. That they were small, but nonetheless, there was money that was spent that was unnecessary. With respect to accounts payable list, yes, I sent out an email to trustees, informing them that I'm making that decision to change. They can say no. The reason I made that decision, because I function on the simple premise, keep it simple and efficient. Having an AP list that everybody could not sit and explain to me the list didn't make sense to me. As I stated before, why would I give you a list, whether it be the board, the mayor, or the residents, that I cannot articulate? As I stated before, whatever I put in your hands, I don't need it in front of me to tell you what's in it. So I did make that decision, and I asked the mayor, can I not give the AP list out? Because one, as the mayor alluded to earlier, it's a draft. And the last thing that needs to come up here is say, you guys approved something that did not get approved. So the mayor said, well, once we approve it, we'll make copies and put it online. So that was something that I thought would be beneficial because there is a process. I was also challenged, first a couple days here, why we have 800+ home estimated readings. Why we have 200-some homes not on the turn-off list, not shut off. Those are the questions that should have been answered and addressed long before I got here. But I don't run away from any challenge, and I never will. So I took on accountability to address that. In the month of February and part of March, we have cut off close to 200 homes with the work with IT as well as the Public Works Department. And there's still more work to be done. Last Tuesday, people talked about the customer service at the front desk. And I asked you guys the same question I ask now. Let's be honest. Everybody's going to have a bad day. Do people sometimes be rude? Yes, but it's a two-way street. Those young ladies up front are doing the best they can with the lack of training that they did not receive. But now they are getting the training, they get process and procedures put in place, so that things are moving forward. But it takes time. Two things that I know in my 49 years of living. People don't like change, and people don't like accountability. That's what I'm going to bring as a finance director, whether I'm part-time or full-time. If you want to know how I operate, go to any mayor that I work with, whether it be Robbins, Sauk Village, Phoenix, or Linwood. And everybody, from the smallest worker up to the mayor, will tell you they might not like what I did, but at the end of the day, I got results for their residents. So that's all I'm asking. Give me the opportunity, be fair about it, and if you didn't ask the people prior to me the same question and did not hold them to that same level that you holding me, ask yourself why. It's going to change, and a lot of people may not like it, but it will get better. And no, the taxpayer would not feel like they're losing their money. No, it's not about printing out copies that's going to make the village broke. It's about simple and efficiency. With that, that's all I have to say, Mayor, and I'll go into my report. Thank you. Trustees, you guys have it, and Mayor and Clerk, you have in front of you the AP list. And part of that change that I just spoke of was, when I got here, it was said that the trustees wouldn't have enough time to review invoices. So what I had my staff do, we're providing the AP list to the trustees a week prior to the council meeting. So they have a week to review. I have a file in my office or in the other young lady's office that they can see any invoices that's on this particular list. No invoice, any bill that's on this list, there is an invoice to go with it. Otherwise, I do not put it on this list. With that being said, last week I gave them a list. The list was $160,000. If you turn to the second page, we have added some additional invoices. Those invoices was invoice that we went through our accounts payable system in the bills that we have, and we had to add them on for this cycle. The invoice that you're looking at that was added all relates to insurance. Most of the insurance that we have in the village, Sauk Village, are paid in advance. So like Blue Cross Blue Shield, even though it's March, that bill is paying for April personnel. So what not knowing that, because again, I have to get my arms wrapped around the process and procedure that's done here prior to me, I didn't know that. So I had the young lady add Blue Cross Blue Shield, Dearborn National, Standard Life. Those are the insurance bills that we are paying now that will pay for April premium. The other bill that you see on here is Insure One Source. The gentleman came and spoke to you guys last Tuesday in reference to the down payment for the insurance that covered the equipments and building of the village. That's where that $75,000 and some change come from. The last bill that I had to add was for the treasurer, the IDOT, Illinois IDOT. That's $50,000. We just got that invoice, and it was a pass-through invoice, so we went ahead and put that on there, so IDOT would not have to call you guys looking for their payment. So in total, we added an additional $218,000 to last year's accounts payable list. But like I said, those bills, if you would like to look at them, they're in my office, and we can review them, and at that time, you guys can make a decision. The second thing that I want to bring to your attention, at the committee of the whole, one of the residents talked about on the current postcard, it says that going forward around July, I think it is, there will be no more shut-off notice, and I addressed that to say that one of the things we're trying to do is go to a standard page water bill, and the main reason was that the young lady that does a water bill right now, she spent 2 days, 8 hours a day, preparing water bill. Waste of taxpayer dollars, I think that's a waste of taxpayer dollars because it's inefficient and it's a no-brainer. I can have my 14-year-old daughter do that, sit there and rip papers apart, take them in the bin to Chicago Heights. Hopefully they don't get lost in Chicago Heights. So one of the forms that you have in front of you is a sample of the water bill. The cost is less than $400 a month for the vendor to take care of all that, and that's something we can discuss if you guys decide to go with that. But the bill is going to be a letter-sized bill, have current month, prior month on it. But the thing that I think is beneficial, other than the fact that it's coming in an envelope so residents don't lose it or misplace it, is that you can put additional information into the envelope about business that's going on in Sauk Village. So that's that one. The final thing I want to discuss, I sat down with Mr. Joe Izawadi last week to get an understanding of the money from Illinois Housing Authority with respect to the abandoned houses and borders and grass cut. As of right now, we have we have received or put out to receive back for them a little bit under $20,000. However, the village have already spent close to $29,000, so we're waiting on additional roughly $29,000 we've already spent, and we're waiting on an additional $9,000 to come back. So overall, we have not used up the whole $75,000. It's a year-to-year grant, and you do have to reapply. So one of the things that my office is tasked with is making sure we put all the invoices that was done within the last year to give to Mr. Joe, so that he can make sure he applies to the Illinois Department of Housing and ask for a rebate. Other than that, I'm still working on revising a cash flow so that you guys can see what money is out there available at that point in time. Again, I don't like giving information from 3 or 4 months ago because it's stale information. I just believe in giving it on today, a point in time. So hopefully I will have that in the next 2 weeks. And at the end of that, Mayor, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Questions?
I got a question.
Yes,
Well,
ma'am.
not a question, a comment. Mr. Finch, I want to say I really appreciate you because I sat down and talked and asked a bunch of questions about information that we have been getting since I've been in here. And you indicated that, a lot of stuff I was given was misinformation, you
Yes.
know. So all I want to say is that we have been saying that for years, that the information that we get did not jive with what we know, you know. So we were getting information, we were going on that information. So my thing is that don't get upset with us, not the people, period, because we were given that information and the information was wrong.
Right.
It's as simple as that, you know. Second thing I want to talk about is that I've heard this before, that we have always asked about who was bonded because there was an issue with the former finance director. So there's nothing new. They're going to ask that until they get an answer, you know. So I don't want you to be offended about that. That's something that we have always asked about. Second thing, when we get information and we want to ask a question about it and it doesn't make sense to us, it won't make sense to residents if we don't ask the question. So we have to come in there and ask you that particular question. So I don't want you to get offended about that either.
And you're right, trustee.
Uh-huh.
I don't, maybe you misinterpret. I don't get offended, because I think I've been doing accounting for 20 plus years. And not bragging or boasting, I think I'm very good at what I do. I know I have results that are proven and tested by vendors, not elected officials, not residents, from vendors and people that I work with in the past. So all I'm asking is, if you have a question, let me understand what the question is. But it seems like I've been asked questions that it can't be explained to me. So if someone asks me a question that they can't explain to me, how can I give an answer? That's why I said it's not simple 1 + 1 = 2. So if you ask a question that you experienced last week, I'm not going to run from it. I'm going to say, give me time, let me look into it, let me find out what I can do. But I'm going to give you the answer. That's all I'm going to ask you. As far as the short time that I'm here, there's a lot of moving parts that I'm grabbing my hands around. Like in a couple of weeks, I'm working on a budget. Before I can do the budget, there's numbers and stuff that I have to get for this past fiscal year. Otherwise, I'm giving you a bunch of junk. And as I explained to you last week, I don't work from a budget on expense. I work from what's actually coming in as revenue. That's how I run my household. My wife can't go out and buy $1 million house and we ain't got $1 million of money to pay for it. So that's the premise that I base my thing on. So that's all I'm asking. Ask me the question, but allow me the time to dig into it and say, okay, this, and this. Like when you and I talk about Republic, I explain how that process works. And I think we got a good relationship and understanding. That makes sense. Now going forward, I can give you the numbers that you're looking for to tie it back and be a checks and balances.
Yeah, that's what we've been asking for since day one. So, you know, we'll work on getting our questions together. You know, I have questions, but I appreciate you, and that's what I'm gonna say. But I have another question. You indicated that $29,000 was for the grass cutting, I do believe?
Yes.
$29,000, okay. Now, the actual grant was for $75,000.
Yes.
Okay. $29,000 was paid out of that. Even though I know it's a reimbursable grant, can you hold that money? Well, that'd be like, what's that, $45,000? Can we hold that money for the next year, or do we just lose it?
$29,000 what we spent.
To reimburse us.
No, 29,000 what we spent to maintain the property.
Right.
Only 19,000 is what came back to us.
Why?
So we still got another 9,000 roughly coming back to us from IDA.
Okay.
So once we get the $9,000, your question is, and this is simple math, let me get 30. So once we get the full $30,000 back, your question is, what's gonna happen to the other $45,000?
Mm-hmm.
The $45,000 stays with IDA until we send them $45,000 worth of invoices.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't send them $45,000 worth of invoices, we don't get $45,000.
Right.
Then the
It
next
doesn't
fiscal
go
year,
forward.
I mean, next calendar year, we gotta apply again for a whole new $75,000 grant.
Yeah, that's what we've been asking for questions like that, you know, so, I appreciate the answer,
You're welcome.
you know. That's the end of my
I
time.
have a question. Yes, sir. No, Mr. Trustee Brewer, you mentioned
Yes.
that, one of your first questions that we've been given false information, wrong information.
I said we were misinformed.
Could you tell me like what was misinformed? 'Cause that's like saying that, I think I heard you say, if I'm correct or wrong, that we were given a lot of misinformation.
I had a whole stack of paper that I gave, and I showed Finch some of, Mr. Finch, some of the information that was given to us, well, during that time, a lot of that stuff did not jive. That's when I looked at it, and I said, oh, this is not right, this does not make sense. I got a whole stack of that paper, and I can show it to you. You know, and I showed him a couple of things, and Finch came in and he said, oh, well, this is not right, this goes this goes that. That's the conversation we had, you know. So I'm not saying I was making up that stuff. I asked questions because I didn't understand what was going on. And the information that was provided to us was not accurate.
So the information that was given to us by the previous finance director?
By former finance director, you know. So I'm just saying, you know, how can you make an informed decision if you get the wrong information? And I talked to you about that before too. So, I mean, it doesn't sound right, you know. If it's not sounding right to me, I'm going to ask.
Can I just make a comment? Well, I don't know if this is but anyway, given that we have the addition of the $75,000 for Insure One source in the accounts payable, I feel like we need to approve accounts payable after we vote on Insure One source tonight, then, Mayor.
So you want me to move
Accounts payable.
I,
For accounts payable, right?
so you want the accounts payable to be I?
Yeah, I feel like we need to do that last.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Mr. Finch, did you have anything further for the next report from the Department of Finance and Administration?
No, that was it.
Thank you. Fire Department? Mr. Campbell, Sidway?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fire Department responded to 20 calls for service for the period from March 7th through March 21st. We had no serious incidents in town. However, we did assist our neighbors with structure fires in Fort Heights and Chicago events. Fire Department will be hosting our annual pancake breakfast with the Easter Bunny on Palm Sunday, April 14th from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. Our annual golf outing will be Saturday, June 29th at Lincoln Oaks Golf Course. Registration begins at 11. We are looking for sponsors and golfers, and flyers are available at the fire station. I'd also like to comment that the Fire Department was intending to be here tonight to honor Mr. Grossman, Detective Sergeant Grossman. However, they didn't call for the past 2 hours. So that's why they were unavailable here. So on behalf of the Fire Department, we do extend our congratulations to Detective Sergeant Grossman. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Captain. That's the fire that's right off 394. You want the fourth?
There was a fire that came in behind Park Lane by the railroad tracks, right over here down Torrance. Linwood did assist with that. As they were coming off of that call, they got another gas leak call at 221st. So I just got a phone call a few minutes ago. They were heading back to the station.
Thank you. Police Department Chief Malcolm White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, village board. For the period between March 13th through March 26th, the police department received 47 calls for service. During that same time period, the police department made 11 arrests. The only other thing I have left in the report, Trustee Dupont will touch on later, just a reminder of our new community policing meetings every Thursday at 6 o'clock. Every third Thursday. Every third Thursday at 6 o'clock. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Public Works Director, Mr. Kevin Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to repeat a few items here from the last report because we have not gotten to them yet, but I just want to make sure everybody understands what's going on. At 1771 223rd Street, we had to replace a fire hydrant over there. During the process, we had to rip out a culvert under a driveway. With the weather being as wet as it's been lately, the area is so saturated with water running down the street, we have to wait for a little more dry spell, but we will get to it still. Staff also has been out on the east side of town and the south side of town pothole patching. Please be patient. We have a lot of patch work to do. The sweeper is in front of the patching crew, and they are going around beforehand so we can remove some of the debris that is in the roadway. This will also include some of the small branch debris that has been blowing out of the trees. I asked that residents again from last report, I mentioned that we're not going to be able to get out and do any kind of a pickup before May 1st, which is our normal pickup. It's actually May 6th. So at this point, I would ask if they could help us out a little bit by just stacking the branches that are in their yard into the parkway. I don't believe there's any tickets going to be issued at this point because it is from storm damage, and we do not have any time right now to send a crew out. We're very much behind at this point. The next item, our lift truck. This is one of the other items that we're behind on. This would also help with the trees, our street lights, and some other issues we have. But the lift truck we have had to go back to the shop. As of Monday, we called. They still have no status on this. They're trying to find out an electrical problem on the boom itself, and that is a safety issue, so we cannot use that until it's repaired. We are working at the village hall with some small jobs because we're changing over to some soap dispensers different to save some money, and some toilet paper holders. The soap dispensers are added, and the paper holders will be added later. There's no cost to the village. The equipment is free. Asphalt and concrete work. We're getting into the beginning of our season here. We do have a little bit at the end. We're trying to get some of this started, but it looks like with the weather now, we're not going to be able to do anything with the asphalt until the plant opens. That won't be until about the 15th of April. And the concrete work we cannot put on a basically floating stage, which is the mud right now that we have. So as things go on in the next couple of weeks, we're looking for hopefully some dry weather. We will be getting into those areas. Landscaping of old dig or operations, anything that Public Works has dug in the last year, we're starting to plan out for those landscape jobs. Some of these might get landscaped without the asphalt or concrete work to be started, because we're kind of trying 2 weeks to get some dirt here and start putting the dirt down, so at least the grass will start to grow in, and then the small amount of damage we will do for the concrete and asphalt work will be minor repairs afterwards. We had ordered some mulch. We have received 90 yards of that Play Safe mulch. This is for the parks and the equipment around the parks for the safe zones. We will be receiving the other half of that order on April 4th. Repairs were also made, reported last 2 weeks ago about the well 3. We had an air stripper failure go down. We had a pipe snap, and that pipe had to be repaired. That pipe has been repaired, and the station is back online. A very important issue we had throughout the winter here, we had a couple major water main breaks. We found one that was in the field on the east side of town. We found that located during the cold weather snap. We had a water main break out there. That has been repaired. The fire hydrant at 1771 to 23rd Street, that one gave away. That was a large amount of water usage there. The other day we were called to Carroll Lane, roughly 1744 Carroll Lane. It's sectional houses over there. They have fire service lines in them. There's a vacant house over there. It appears that the water was running from the fire service line, which is a 2-inch fire service line, for quite a while. And nobody had reported it. And one day somebody finally called with water running behind a house. We went to this address, and sure enough, it was going for quite a while. Due to these repairs, we were quite high on the water consumption per day. Now we're back down to our normal, I would say normal time usage, which is about 650,000 per day. The last, let's see what we got here. The last salt order, we've been kind of behind on the salt orders, not that we need it right now, but the vendor was behind on at least 2 of the last of the 3 orders that we have that we received. We're waiting on the 3rd order. That should be here tomorrow. And then as of the 400 tons that we contracted, we only have to have another 20 ton, which is 1 more semi, and that has been placed. We only have to purchase 80% of our salt this year. We don't need to go to the 100%. So there's definitely a cost savings. And again, the branches, if there's a location that there's an excessive amount of branches on the road or large branches and somebody needs help with that, please call the village hall with an address and we will get to that as quickly as we can. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Economic development. Trustee Zupan. Yes, the economic development director.
All right, on his behalf, I'm reading this tonight. Board of Trustees has before them tonight 3 ordinances abating property taxes for tax increment financing bonds, Series 2008. See, I didn't think it was. It doesn't sound like it, was it?
Go ahead.
2000A, doesn't sound like it. 2000B, 2008, and 2009. Our village's financial advisor, Kate McKenna, advises us there are sufficient funds on deposit to make the debt service payments, in addition to the reserve redemption of fund of over $3 million on deposit with Amalgamated. Should the village board choose not to abate these bonds, the property taxes would be levied on all of the homeowners and not just the tenants in the TIF district. It is the recommendation of Kane McKenna that the board vote to approve the abatements on these bonds, which is done year after year. The board also has before it for consideration tonight amendment to the village's sign ordinance that will allow for electronic information wall signs and monument signs by governmental buildings, which will include villages, schools, libraries, and churches within residential areas. Such signs will only be permitted to be in use from 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. The reason for the change is to alleviate the need for variance for government and church entities and the additional cost to the village for such hearings. The board also will be taking action to approve the 2019 comprehensive plan this evening. This is the culmination over a year's work and many hours of community input, meetings, and community events. He is proud to have played a role in this plan for Sauk Village, which will take our community into the next 20 years, providing a clearer picture of our pathway to progress. Staff has completed the data collection for vacant homes in Sauk Village. He's pleased to report that since 2017, the number of vacant homes has decreased from 443 to 338 as of our most recent evaluation this month. We clearly have a lot of work ahead of us. We do not have anything in a quote-unquote list form, and staff will be working to develop a proper vacant home list, and that will be completed sometime in April. All of our data will be sent to ProChamps for follow-up and getting those properties registered within their system. A staff report will be provided to the trustees with respect to vacant homes. Finally, Maggie Jar, our staff planner and the director, would like to schedule a special goal-setting meeting with the members of the village board and zoning plan commission on a Saturday in April. We want to keep the momentum of the comprehensive plan going forward as we work on implementation. Details will be forthcoming. That concludes his report.
Thank you. What's the trustee?
Comment? Got comments? I don't know, I guess you but you asked for, we're gonna abate the bonds for 202, 202 A and B, and 208 and 209. Now, I understand that, and I know, Mr. Finch, you have to be patient, but I asked for a detailed ledger on what's going on with the bonds. I'd like to know the bottom line. I understand they tell us that there's enough money in there, But saying and seeing is two different things. So I would like to see a report that shows the detailed ledgers for 208, 202A, 202B, 208, and 209 bond series that we're finna get ready to abate. Second of all, Joe indicated that there has been a decrease in vacant homes from 443 to 338. Now, I would like to know, there's 105 vacant homes that apparently has got back on the rolls. I'd like to know where they're at, when did they come back on the rolls, and how much revenue you're going to get, because somebody eventually, since 2017, somebody got some revenue for this, and it's not reflected in the, what we're getting in revenue and what we're getting, nor is it reflected in the amount of billing. But then again, my data was wrong, as I understand it. So I would like to know where are these 105 houses that you guys are talking about. And you said you're going to develop, the data's already there, you're going to develop a list, a proper vacancy list. If the data's there, how come you just can't print it out? I have asked for a vacancy list, I haven't been able to get it. I asked for February 5th, 6th, I verbally asked it for you again. I have yet to get that, but I understand other trustees have the vacancy list. So why some trustees have it and other people don't? So again, I want to know where the 105, the copy of the vacancy list, and also want some detailed ledgers on all these bonds. So we got a sufficient amount to pay off these bonds, then we should be able to see, go in there and see, well, we got $1 million, we could, abate that. We'd like to see some financial records. And that's the end of my question. I'll send you a memo so you won't forget, Joe. I just like to know, where our financial dollars are.
Any other questions? Okay. Item B. Reports from trustees. Trustee Bernice Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I talked to Mr. Finch this week, and I got a lot of information, and I got a lot of about finance. And one thing that we noticed is that I can't do anything with the finance unless I know how much money was there. Mr. Finch is working on getting some reports together, so maybe at that time I'll be able to give somebody some information. But we need some reports on what's going on, especially with one of my missions was when I do public service is to find out how much it was going to cost in order to, repair places of the infrastructure, certain areas of that. You can't do that without knowing how much money we got there. As I understand it from last time, the finance director said I need to talk to the trustees, so I put up our RFP. It didn't go anywhere. And then also told them where they can get the money. And of course, the former finance director said we didn't have any money. So, you can't really do anything unless you know what the money is, So that's my point. So we talk about where the money is. Yeah, I already gave them the RFP is cost, how much it costs for RFP. But, that's another thing, And he asked a question of answer. That's my report.
RFP is a request for
I'm asked, that's part of my report, and I'm talking, excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you interrupted, this is my time, I'm telling you what's going on in my report. When I finish that, you can ask me questions.
No, that's okay.
Okay, fine, anyway, to keep going, I have been tasked to find out certain things we need to do in order to get the infrastructure repaired. I can't do that unless I know how much money is out there. I have asked Robinson Engineering and also the Public Works Director to find out just what we need out there, like the water, fire hydrants, and all that sort of stuff. We could have a dollar amount if I was given that information, okay? Since I'm not getting any information, I can't give any information. So I'm just saying, it's a little crazy on here, and we're not trying to, you know, give you a hard time or anything, is that we're just not getting financial data, you know, for anything, so. And then another thing is that I talked to, one of the young ladies at the front and asked for copies of the shut-off list. She told me that she couldn't give me the list because the mayor said I couldn't have it.
Oh.
So,
What?
anyway, the mayor said I couldn't. Okay, the mayor said I couldn't get my, and as you can see, I asked you for the list first, and you gave it to the person, and they said they couldn't get it. So those are the kind of things that I have to do. We can't get the information, huh? Okay, I appreciate it, you know. So, the thing is that we have been working hard to get information for residents about information related to the infrastructure, and we just can't get it. It is simple as that. Sorry.
Could you use the mic?
Hello? I guess I'm kind of lost. When you say infrastructure, finance related to infrastructure, even if I gave you, let's say $1 million, that doesn't necessarily mean it's enough for infrastructure done.
I know.
So, I guess my question is twofold. Would we need, should your report be based on the cost of infrastructure, and then you say, well, we have the money yet throughout the village? Because that could be some MFT fund, which as you know is restricted. That could be some potential grant money fund. So even if I give you a number and say we got $1 million, it might not be sufficient to do what needs to be done. So it's like, to me, it's a tangle.
I agree with you, but if I come to you and I'll say, well, okay, I would like to get, say, 40 fire hydrants done, okay? I know I don't have that much money, okay? So you can come in and say, well, okay, I got enough to do 20. We're meeting at the lines right there. So, but without me knowing how much money.
And that part of that process is when we get ready to do the budget.
Excuse me. You all's conversation you can have doing business hours.
We want to hear.
We want to
know.
We can go back and forth because your question is answered, this question is answered, back and forth. This is a business team. So if you have a question, trust me, I mean, you said you come in, but to go back and forth, you have other business to take care of. We still have other things to vote on, we still have other committees to speak, talk to you, put them together a report. But if you're gonna go back and forth with this, let me ask this question, let me ask that question, that can be taken care of through any business hours. Mr. Finch is here on Thursdays and Fridays. You know that already, we can get that, but to do this right now here at this meeting, doesn't make sense.
Okay, like I said, I'm doing my public service report, and I can ask questions, whatever. Mayor does not get to me when I'm supposed to ask questions. Anyway, I have a question, and about the way we're gonna finance this particular infrastructure. And I know we're supposed to, it will be a more lengthy meeting, but I'm trying to give you some ideas of kind of things that I have been asking for since May, you know, about the finance and infrastructure. I would, you know, appreciate.
Just to,
right, yeah.
You know, what time when we does our finance.
Right, yeah, you know, so, and I just want to know when you're going to be available, that's all, you know.
Thank you.
Yes, we're talking because, to be perfectly honest, and I'm speaking out of order, but this is out of order. You all don't make appointments for the board meeting. This is a board.
You're telling me what I can't do?
I'm talking to both of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Mr. Finch. So as you guys can see, they only want certain people knowing certain things out here, and you can't ask any questions, and that's all out of order, all out of order. Yes, it is.
Budget, okay,
You didn't ask, but
I have to ask.
okay. Anyway, as far as the list for, that Joe said he's going to develop for us, I would like a copy of the vacancy list, okay? Because I've been trying to get from him as a trustee, and we can't get it. So I'd like to know why we can't get that information. It's public information. So that's the end of that report.
Are you through with your report?
Julie?
Okay. Okay, budget and finance, budget report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last Wednesday, I had a Budget and Finance Committee meeting, and we went over a proposal that I worked with the board to, with my committee to, I'd like to bring to the board based on the expected revenue from the new gas wash going on 294 on Sauk Trail. So I'd like to present it to the board next week. We can discuss it at the committee meeting, and then hopefully you can vote on what we can. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Trustee Grant, is it part of your committee's duty to, if a resident asks to provide the balance of a particular fund, is that something you do? Is that something that's available?
If I have that fund, I will give it. If I have the balance, I'll give it.
If you don't have it, man.
If I don't, I'll find it out.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Y'all rude. Y'all rude.
Housing and governmental relations, trustee Tate. Board review committee, trustee Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Ordinance Review Committee will meet on April 8th here in the Rotunda at 6 p.m. That ends my report, but I have a comment. I want to address the resident that was talking about the FOIAs. And it has to do with one that was submitted on March 8th. I received that FOIA on March 12th, is when I received it, which was like a Tuesday night. Now, I was here on Monday. So at that time, the next day I came in to provide the information. The FOIA was not time-stamped. And at that time, I was asked, well, do you need 5 more days? I said, no, I don't. I then, on that Thursday, which is the day before it was actually due, provided the information. So I want to let you know that, yes, I did provide the information. Why they needed another 5 days, I don't know. But I did comply with the 5 days. And that ends my comment.
I'm going to say it one more time. I'm asking that the audience please refrain from outbursts. Public Safety Committee, trustee Benson.
I'm going to start off first with reading Director Vavrick's report. He wasn't here at the time because he got called out for a call, and he actually did have a report, but nobody read it at the time. So I'm going to start with letting that be read. So first, he wanted to thank Detective Sergeant Grossman for his services to the police department and wish him many happy years of retirement. And then from the time span of March 12th through the 24th, Emergency Management responded to 10 calls of service. That included 4 fire alarms, a rubbish fire, an auto accident, and then several assists, including 2 to South Chicago Heights Fire Department for an apartment building fire, a garage fire, 1 assist to Fort Heights for a house fire, and 1 to Crete for a fire alarm. He also reported that earlier this month he attended a pipeline safety training class and received a certificate of completion, and that concluded his report for this evening. On to public safety directly. Just to report that our next committee meeting will be next Wednesday, the 3rd. That will be here at 6 p.m. in the Rotunda. And again, just to remind everybody, our first chat with the chief session will be Thursday, April 18th, again here in the Rotunda at 6 p.m. And then
my comment, just directed to trustee Brewer. I'm not really sure I understand what vacant home lists and shut-off lists do to help understand the cost of Lake Michigan water. So maybe you and I can talk offline about that.
No, we don't need to talk about that. I can tell you that right now.
Sure.
Okay? It's a public document. I'm a trustee. I want to see it. Simple.
How does that help with the cost of Lake Michigan water?
That has absolutely nothing to do with Lake Michigan water. That has absolutely everything to do with what I want to see. And I want to see a copy of the vacancy list.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Community outreach trustee Carter. Thank you. Senior Advisory Council, instead of Mr. Farmer, have Mr. Coleman as the Vice President. Is it on?
Hello? Thank you, Mr. Mayor, board members. Report for this Tuesday, March 26, 2019, executive board meeting from the Senior Advisory Council. Our next meeting for the Senior Advisory Council is Thursday, April 11, 2019, and all are welcome. Our first senior luncheon of the new year is scheduled for this Thursday, March the 28th, here in the Senior Center. The Eastern Stars are our sponsors and will be providing lunch for the seniors free of charge. Game night every first and third Friday in the Senior Center. Please come out this Friday and invite your seniors for bid with and other games. CETA has requested to come back to the Senior Center on Monday, April 22nd and Tuesday, April 23rd. The senior committee has given them an okay for those dates, and they are just waiting for approval from the state. Also, our first casino trip of the year is May the 15th, 2019. Flyers are in the back of the room. Please reserve the spaces on the bus as soon as possible because we are usually filling up pretty quick. Thank you, and this concludes my report.
Thank you.
Mr. Coleman, what time is your luncheon?
For lunch?
The senior luncheon, there's no time. On March 28th? Do you know what time the luncheon starts?
Okay. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Any new business? I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance abating the tax for the general obligation bonds, tax increment refinancing bond series 2002, and the general obligation capital appreciation bond, tax increment alternative bond series 2002 be available.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Grant and second by trustee. Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Grant. Any questions?
I have a comment. Mr. Mayor, I want to reiterate what I just said. You can't make an informed decision unless you get some documentation. I have asked for documentation to find out how much in general bonds and bonds that we have, the amount that's there. I understand we have enough, but unless you put it in writing, it does not mean too much anything. So I'm asking again for copies, even though, you know, we're gonna vote on it. I'm gonna abstain, but I'm just saying, it might be you to start coming up with some of the financial documents.
Any other questions? We had a discussion on this at the last committee meeting, and at that time it was explained that this money for the 2002 A and B bonds is coming out of TIF, which is generated through the business that in the TIF district, so it's no expense to the village.
Where's the document?
Madam Clerk, please.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Abstain.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve the ordinance abating the taxes from the general obligation bonds for tax increment alternative revenue source for Series 2008 of the Village of Sauk Village in Cook and Will County.
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Grant. Any questions?
Got a comment? Mr. Mayor, this is another item that have asked for financial documents for the Series 2008. Haven't gotten it yet. So again, I'm asking for it again. I'd like a copy of the financial document that shows the details and the bottom line of what's in the Series 2008 bond.
So when that garbage comes in the mail, throw it out.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Abstain.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate?
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance abating the taxes from the general obligation tax increment bond Series 2009 of the Village of Sauk Village, Cook and Will County.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee
No, you did.
Grant. Any questions?
Comment? Mr. Mayor, this is another one of those, requests that I made for a copy of the detailed ledger that, describes what's going on with, the Series 209, alternate,
Are we
resource.
interrupting you guys? Are we interrupting you all?
Candace, so y'all go ahead.
Take it out there.
We're gonna talk a little more.
No, go ahead and take it outside, please.
No, you take yours outside. I'm staying right here. It's cold
Really?
out there. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's cold out there. Yeah. Sir, this is a public forum.
No, but if you want to talk, ma'am, you can go outside.
No,
We're
sir,
trying to
no,
discuss
sir,
business.
no, sir, that, I will not go into that room. It's cold out there, no.
Any other questions?
Comment, my comments is about this. I asked for detailed ledgers to, for the, 209,
Why are you all
for
talking?
the 209 series, bond. I haven't got that financial information yet, so I'm asking again for a copy of the detailed ledger that describes the, what's going on with the 209 series, alternate revenue source. So I would like a copy of that.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Abstain.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate?
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to enter an agreement, to enter into an agreement with Sauk for Code Red, the notifications, these notification system service.
Second.
Moved by trustee Carter, second by trustee Grant. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Brewer?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Grant?
Yes.
Tate?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Zupan?
Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve an ordinance amending Article number 4 of the regulations by sign type, Chapter 58 of the Municipal Code of the Village of Sauk Village.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Carter. Any questions?
Can we have the ordinance with the correction in it that we added to 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.?
I thought it was
Yeah, I don't have it in my packet, but if you could put it in my box.
Yeah.
If you could just put it in my box, thank you.
corrections in there.
It's on here.
Correct.
It's on here 6 to 10,
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
For the electronic and the display screen, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Thank you.
You have a question?
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Tate?
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer? Yes.
Motion is carried. I'll entertain a motion for a resolution authorizing and directing the submission of an application to County of Cook County of Illinois requesting community development block grant funds for the program year of 2019 for the village of Sauk Village. Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Tate. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Tate?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Zupan?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Motion carried. I'll entertain a motion to approve accounts payable. I'm sorry. Motion to accept the commercial insurance program agreement as presented by insurance.
You still one second. The
Oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. Excuse me, that's right. I missed one. Motion to accept the recommendation of the zoning board of appeals commission to adopt the 2019 comprehensive plan.
Second.
Moved by trustee Zupan, second by trustee Grant. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Trustee Tate? Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Zupan?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Yes.
Trustee Carter?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Now I entertain a motion to accept the commercial insurance program as presented by Insurance Source LLC.
So moved.